Well, this year has thrown a number of wrenches in the works, so getting the job done comes with challenges. But one thing that won't wait for the perfect moment is our fundamental and democratic right to vote. Or will it have to? Here to share how you can become a poll manager is Chris Whitmire, Public Information Director for the South Carolina election. And I want to tell you that we appreciate you joining us today, Chris. Last week, the president tweeted a question about delaying the election due to the suggestion that there should be universal mail-in ballots across the country, citing the possibility of fraud. I was wondering if you can explain what that means exactly in terms of mail-in ballots versus absentee ballots and whether or not South Carolina engages in that.
Sure. South Carolina has absentee voting, and you can do that by mail or you can do it in person. So when someone talks about vote by mail, some other states have true vote by mail, and that's where the election authorities send ballots out to every registered voter in the state, and they must return those ballots using various methods by certain deadlines. And then there's very little voting at your polling place on election day. We don't have that in South Carolina. Our system is designed for most voters to vote at polling places on election day. And then the law has carved out exceptions, reasons to vote absentee. And like I said, you can do that in one of two ways, either in person at the voter registration office or a satellite office, or you do it by mail. And the other way that's different in South Carolina is that there's not a standing list of people we just mail ballots to. Every election, the voter has to say, I want to vote absentee, send me an application. They get an application, they fill out the application, they swear that they meet one of the reasons on the application, they return that, and then we mail a ballot to them at their address where they're registered. So a little bit different than vote by mail, where vote by mail in South Carolina would look like we're mailing over 3.3 million ballots out to every voter in the state, and really absentee in South Carolina is much more limited than that.
And so what you were saying earlier is that with an absentee ballot, that's kind of the first level of security to know that that is not a fraudulently delivered ballot.
That's right, because it starts with that voter's request. The voter actually has to come out and say, hey, I want an absentee ballot. We check, make sure they're a registered voter. They're signing a document, and we have signatures on file in all the county voter registration offices. So it is a voter-initiated, voter-specific transaction. We mail that ballot to them. They vote it. They have to sign again on the exterior envelope and send that back and sign that voter's oath. So there's a lot of documentation that goes along with voting absentee by mail. And all of that's a public record too. So that also adds to the security of it, is that after an election, you can look at it and see everybody who voted absentee, who did it by mail. All of the envelopes and applications and all of that are public records.
Interesting. I know that Florida, for the last 20 years, for an example, they have had mail-in ballots. But do you think the president has a point that you could see the rate of fraud go up if this was implemented nationwide?
So in states that have true vote by mail, many of those states have taken years to implement those systems, and they usually include some robust signature verification processes when those ballots come back. We don't have that in South Carolina. I have not, studied that issue and tried to, for implementation in South Carolina to make a full judgment on whether or not it could be done securely. But I know that the election officials in those states believe that that's what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And so, I just a real broad perspective, I would say I think there's nothing we can't get done in South Carolina. So if that was our task, I think we could do it, and we could do it in a secure way.
Well, I think it'll be interesting to know what's going to happen as the days and weeks progress because Election Day is less than 100 days away. So things have got to be figured out before then. When we come back, I do need to take a break here, but when we return after the commercial, I want to talk about what it means to be a poll manager, all the responsibilities that go along with that, and how folks out there interested in taking part in the democratic process can get involved. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We've been chatting with Chris Whitmire, Public Information Director for South Carolina election, on what it takes to become a poll manager. And I know that here in South Carolina, if we're going by the old-fashioned way of things, you're planning on holding election day as you have every other election time. So can you give us an idea of what it means to be a poll manager?
Sure. We can't conduct elections in South Carolina without poll managers. And so poll managers are the vanguard of democracy. We have to have poll managers. And in the current pandemic, that is one of the complicating factors that we've had, is that many poll managers have declined to serve because they have underlying conditions. They're at a certain age where they're at a higher risk. And decline to serve, which is understandable. But what we've done is to reach out to the citizens of South Carolina and say, hey, if you're willing and able to serve as a poll manager, your state and your county needs you. And part of our solution for voting in the pandemic is to provide other options. So there's absentee voting, absentee in person. Maybe the General Assembly will expand the reasons and give everybody options, but certainly voting at polling places on Election Day is still a huge part of ensuring that South Carolinians are able to voice their opinion on November 3rd. And we have to have poll managers to do that.
Okay. And is there a minimum age? And I understand you also get paid to do this.
Yes, you get paid. You can make at least $165 for training and working on Election Day. You can be as young as 16. So 16 and 17-year-olds can be poll manager assistants. There's a limitation on how many of those can be in each precinct, but great thing for a 16 or 17-year-old to do. Regular poll managers are 18 and up and are registered voters. And it's about a 3-hour training. Sometime before the election, and then Election Day, you're usually there no later than 6 a.m. and you work until usually no earlier than about 8 p.m. because polls close at 7. It takes about an hour to close the polls. It could be later, right. So it is a long day.
And I understand you're also making it very safe for everybody by requiring masks, hand sanitizer, social distancing, all those things. So anyone who's concerned about that, you are implementing those rules. For people who are interested in applying, can you give us quickly the place where they can go?
Go to scvotes.gov, click on poll managers. You'll see all of the details about being a poll manager and how to apply. You can do an online application.
Terrific. Chris, I want to thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We're back after this.